What is up, YouTube? Mike here from TechnoGI, and I wanted to do a quick review of the Samsung Galaxy Tab A 9.7 with S Pen. Now, obviously, that is a mouthful, but anyways, this is the budget tablet that I unboxed the other day. So far, I am loving this tablet 100%. It is a great tablet for the price, and really, that's what you got to keep in mind throughout this review if you're looking at this tablet is the price. Like I said, this is $349 brand spanking new from Samsung, Best Buy, Amazon, wherever you want to buy it. And also there is a version that is only $300 without the S Pen support. But if you're into digital note taking, it's definitely worth the extra $50 to do the support, or I say to get the S Pen support. But real quick, let me show you kind of around the device. Like I said, this is unapologetically kind of a iPad clone when it comes to the footprint, I guess. Same aspect ratio. Like I said, it's 9.7 inch display diagonally. On the bottom, you got your standard Samsung keys, your home button, your multitasking, multi-window, and your back button. And of course, as far as physical, or I say on the bottom, you got your headphone jack, your two speakers, and then you've got your micro USB port, which also is a USB 2.0, so you can use an OTG cable to hook thumb drives and other peripherals. On the sides, you've got your micro SD slot, which is good for up to 128 gigabytes. You've got your volume rockers, looks pretty similar to an iPad Air. And then you got your power button. And you got this button, which I found out, along with your rear-facing camera, is for the Samsung cover itself. But anyways, that is kind of the physical design of it. And right here is where the S Pen is stowed. And of course, it just pops out like so. All right. So getting to this, as you can see, to me, the biggest complaint, or I say it's not my complaint, but all the other reviewers, they talk about the screen resolution. Now this, to me, I don't think it's bad. It's a 1024 by 768. Like I said, from here to here is 9.7 inches, but I think the brightness is pretty darn good. Right now it's actually pretty, let me turn it up all the way. So it puts out plenty of brightness, and the issue was people were complaining about when you read text, but I think they personally look pretty darn good and crisp, because you can see, we'll open the Bible up here. I mean, I think the text looks just fine. No issues whatsoever. No issue with performance. But moving on with that, we'll go over the rest of the specs. Internally, you can only get these with 16 gigabytes of internal storage, which sounds kind of like a negative until you realize with the expandable storage. And the beauty of Android is on my SD card, I can actually mount the apps. So I can install the apps on the SD card. So the 16 gigabytes really is not a limitation, and I think that kind of helps keep the price down as well on this. But this has got as far as cameras, got a 2 megapixel front, a 5 megapixel rear. I really haven't messed with them. I don't really take pictures with my tablet, but 2 megapixel is plenty for doing Skype or a Google Hangout, but your video chat. And 5 megapixel is not terrible. I mean, I didn't really look at the camera because I'm not a tablet guy when it comes to using my tablet as a camera. So if you're buying this for a camera, then you're already kind of screwed up. But anyway, it's there, 2 megapixel and 5 megapixel. As far as the battery on this, it is actually pretty darn good. It's actually better than my iPad Air. Samsung says you get up to about 15 hours of internet use time, which is really not necessarily too far from the mark. I mean, from what I've noticed so far, the battery on this is actually pretty darn phenomenal. And I think a lot of it comes with the screen. So they kind of skimped out on the screen, but at the same time that benefited the battery. But like I said, for me, the screen resolution is just fine. I have no issue with it whatsoever. As far as the OS, this comes out of the box running Android 5.0 Lollipop, which I'm liking quite a bit. So no issues with that so far. Like I said, this has got 16 gigabytes internal storage, and this has got about 2 gigabytes of RAM. As far as the internals inside this thing, let's see. Like I said, yeah, it's got 2.0 as far as the USB. It's got Bluetooth 4.1. It's got a built-in GPS, which is good. So you can download offline maps, and it'll work just fine for navigation. As far as the processor, it's a 1.2 gigahertz quad-core processor. Nothing too fancy. You're not going to blow anything away. Here, I'll show you the Geekbench with this real quick. So I ran a Geekbench earlier, and you can see the scores. Nowhere near what you would get with an iPad, but the bigger numbers don't necessarily mean worse performance, or I say lower numbers, just because of the way the OS is optimized. Like I said, this thing does multitasking, no problem. Even though the scores are low, I think this thing performs quite well. Like I said, it's 4 cores. As far as multitasking, works well. Let me give you a demo here. We'll open up a Chrome on one side and S-Note on the other. As you can see, it'll do 2 apps at once and run them just fine. You can resize them, all that good stuff. It works fine. Another cool thing is you can shrink the app. So I can move this around, shrink it down. So there you go. And based on the app, it may let you get bigger or smaller. So you can move this wherever you want and still use essentially the other app behind it. And if you want to close it, it's just as simple as that. But I wanted to show you kind of one of the best features, and that is the S Pen itself. With the S Pen, I mean, if you've owned any Note tablet, it's pretty much the same features. When you pull it out, it's going to recognize it, and it brings up the air command. So with the air command, I'm not going to necessarily give you a demo of the TouchWiz UI, but you can do your screen write, screen captures, action memo, and it all works really well. So let me kind of show you kind of of course this has palm rejection, so Wacom digitizer. So you get 1024 as far as for your pressure levels of pressure sensitivity, but the writing is fine. It tracks really well. Don't really notice any parallax effect at all. I've already got terrible handwriting, and this works just fine for me. Where the tip is where the ink is. So that is kind of what's my complaints with honestly using the Surface tablets. They always seem to have a little bit of parallax that I just can't get rid of. Even on my Surface Pro 2, which uses the same the same Wacom technology, or Wacom, however you want to say it, there's always a little bit of parallax effect. So Samsung has always done a really good job with their Note series as far as getting rid of the parallax, which is pretty awesome. But like I said, with this pen, I mean, there's so many things you can do. You could literally do a whole nother tutorial on the pen, but press the button, put it close to the screen, you bring up your air command. So if you want to do a screen write, it'll take a screen capture, and you're free to draw whatever you want to do on this, and you can send it. So the pen, to me, is what makes this tablet really compelling and really worth it. And this is kind of really a iPad Pro alternative. Like I've already said, this is only a 9.7 inch display. But again, if you're looking at the iPad Pro, personally, I think I would rather go with the Galaxy Note Pro 12.2. It's almost the same size as a iPad Pro, but you get a lot more functionality. But like I said, runs really smooth, no issues with that. It seems to run fast. I don't really have any games on here, but I'm not a big tablet gamer, but it works. And of course, the thing I love about Android or Samsung out of the box is I've got a Bluetooth mouse right here. It's already paired. Let me find there it is. Everything works. I use the scroll wheel, it makes it change. You right click, it takes you home, and I can open stuff. So right here I've got, you can't really see it. Let me see if I can zoom back out. I've got a Bluetooth keyboard paired to it, and I've got my mouse. So this is a Microsoft Office or Word. Essentially, you also get this for free. So when you buy this tablet, you get the mobile version of Office for free included. So you can create, edit documents, all that stuff, and everything works really well. So like I said, you can use the mouse, which is what I think the iPad Pro is missing. So it gives you more precision. I can highlight these, Control C, come down here, Control V. I mean, it works. So the mouse works, everything works. I left click, it takes me back home, or it's basically your back button. So, and again, the scroll wheel works. It works when you open an internet site as well. And again, the stylus works, or I say the mouse works. Right now I'm using the scroll wheel. You find a better page for you to open. And this is Google Chrome. And right now my internet's being slow because I'm saving it with my neighbors. So that's why it's taking so long to load. Again, it's not the tablet, it's my stinking internet being slow. But as you can see, it's really snappy. I'm using the scroll wheel on the mouse. No delay. I got my mouse. I can click on stuff, drag stuff. It all works. So we'll open something. Like I said, works like a champ. And I can go back home. So really, like I said, $349 for this thing, brand new. I mean, that to me is a steal, especially with the mouse support and the S Pen. Of course, this is what to me is the coup de grace. It's got OneNote integration. OneNote works just fine. And again, comes preloaded with all the Microsoft apps. And also, I forgot to mention, when you buy this, you get 100 gigabytes of OneDrive storage for free for 2 years. So that's another little bonus that Samsung throws in. So, like I said, really snappy tablet, no issues whatsoever. Highly recommend it. Personally, I think I am going to return this just due to the fact that I think I'm going to get a Galaxy Note Pro 12.2 instead of the iPad Pro. I was really looking at the iPad Pro, but just for what the cost is and what it can do is just not worth it. I mean, that still cannot replace your laptop. This, however, for $350 can totally replace your laptop. And like I said, you've got your mouse support. This is without rooting your device or jailbreaking. You got your keyboard, and by the way, for about $2 you can get an OTG cable from Amazon. Plugs right into your micro USB, and you can put in thumb drives, to read it just fine, and any other USB peripheral you can think of. So that, to me, is where Apple is lacking as far as with the Lightning port. They lock it down. So without jailbreaking it, it's still such a limited device. So love it or hate it as far as Android or iOS. I'm not going to be able to convert you one way or the other, but I can just tell you that Samsung or any Android-based tablet is always going to give you more options than iOS when it comes to what you can do with it as far as for productivity. So with that was quick, down and dirty. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. And as always, if you have not done so, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And if you've got any questions on this tablet or you want to see anything, just leave it in the comments below. Thanks.